The Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of Mandan Team Show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, welcome to episode number 182 of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. What a weekend we are coming off of. Welcome everybody to the new and improved FingerLakes1.com studios. We're here in the North Park building at Academy Square right off of Cuga Street in Seneca Falls. Joining me on the line already, Tom Henderson. We're going to catch up with him. We're going to be talking with Robbie Vest in a little bit, talking about Bash for Cash, and then we're going to finish up with a quick conversation with Dustin Anderson regarding the Mandan Team Derby. What a show in the record books. Again, Bash for Cash, Tim Clark saying it might have been the best one on record. It certainly had its high points, finishing with the Turn Back the Clock class late evening on Sunday night. Trent Braun coming away again with a win in the Turn Back the Clock class. The Psyopos certainly brought the fight to them. It was a great battle right down through the final moments. The Heinens ended up, they were a factor in the overall outcome. It was an awesome main event to cap Bash for Cash 2017. In the 80s and newer class, Tommy Henderson, who's on the line waiting in the wings right now, came away with, I think it's safe to say, an unlikely win in the 80s and newer, going toe-to-toe with Jason Koch. Just some of the other results and notes that we want to get to here before we turn things over to Tommy. Robbie Vest, who we're going to be talking to, coming away with a win in that compact event. Those Fox Body Mustangs were nasty tough throughout the weekend, and sure enough, he came away with a win in that one. Tiffany Hahn coming away with her second win in the Joker Wire class, also getting Mad Dog Award in that one. That was a dynamite feature to watch. Klinger was involved with that one. Mike Klinger taking second place. Cindy Reginbald coming away with third. Got a chance to watch that one with Kevin Seeley, and that really stood out to me for the weekend. You know, Kevin Seeley and I, we've known each other for a long time. He had a car there. He said that he learned a lot. We haven't had a chance to actually watch Derby together because usually he's in a car on the track while we're doing our thing, so it was fun to kind of watch that with him. Daniel Ort, Kenny Rosno, got to watch a couple heats with those guys. That was a lot of fun. Donnie Hartzell from right here in Waterloo, making his first trip out there. I think he learned a lot in his Lincoln Signature, along with Brett Relier, Duncan Cram, Tommy Woodbury. He had a tough go, man. His car got torn to pieces, and he had to put new front spindles, new transmission on the car to get it back out for the Constantly. I think he equated to a total of like maybe 10 minutes of runtime total for the whole weekend after all that effort put into the car. But nonetheless, he didn't walk away with his tail between the legs. Should be proud of that effort. Evan King getting away is probably the luckiest driver on the weekend. After that radiator cap blew up in his face, he walked away with basically the equivalent of a sunburn. Could have been way worse for him. I know we're missing people. Jackson Pensek in the youth class, he did a phenomenal job. He hit a guy at 50 who was complaining that his shoulder hurt. He learned that from his dad. Hank Pensek, AJ Pensek was out there on the track. There was a bunch of the Nasty Dogs, Al McNeil, Jim Eppinger. The Pennsylvania contingent was represented well. I saw Wade Farner out there. Little Clemens, he came away with second. Mason Robert Foster, Devin Germain, they did a great job in the compact ranks. The Psyopos, all the Dunkirk drivers. It was an awesome show front to back. But as much as we enjoyed watching it, I am certain that we can turn around and say with confidence that Tom Henderson enjoyed it more than we did. Tom, man, congratulations on that win.
Oh, thanks, man. What a ride. It was fun.
Did you ever expect anything like that? I mean, going in, we always talk about guys that they go into a demolition derby and, you know, they have these intentions that they're going to win. You don't build a car, you don't expect to win, but somewhere's down in your heart of hearts, you go in there, are you thinking for sure that you've got a shot at winning this thing just like everybody else, or are you thinking, you know, my goal is to make the feature and I'll be happy?
I was perfectly content making the feature, and I tell you what, I wouldn't have thought in a million years pulling out there that we would have made it, but when it got down to 6, I was feeling pretty good. But I still can't believe it. It's kind of shocking.
I think what also is going to shock people is to know that you built all the equipment in the car yourself.
Yep, I'm short of the IFD protector and IFD trans brace and HLK wheels. Everything else is my motor, my trans, my rear end.
I mean, what does that say? What does that say to your ability in the garage?
Same stuff I do every day, I guess. It's a lot of work, though.
You never ventured into waters this deep before. We've seen you run compacts before in Dunkirk and do extremely well with those. We saw you in the full-size division at Sandusky last year in the team show, and that certainly wasn't the outcome that you wanted. You guys certainly let everybody know that you were there, but fair to say that you came to that show underbuilt. What led to the decision to go to Bash for Cash, and how much time did you spend, I guess, refining the build from where you were at the Sandusky show to where you were when you were standing with an $11,000 check in your hands in Chillicothe, Ohio?
I definitely learned a lot from Sandusky. Well, a lot. A whole lot.
Yeah.
But we had planned on running Bash for a couple years, and then last year we ran the wire class. That turned out awesome. I couldn't have been happier with that. So, I mean, it seemed like the only way to go was up, and so we built and showed up, and, man, I'm more than happy with the outcome.
This is only the second time that you've built a car this heavy?
Yes, absolutely. This is definitely the biggest build I've ever done.
Yeah. So, you take the wire class experience and you take the Sandusky experience. What are the takeaways from those two instances? One of them obviously doesn't have a whole lot in terms of linear comparisons for the build style. The wire class from the 80s at Bash for Cash, nothing similar to what you've done there. And then Sandusky, a lot of the locals would probably say that you guys walked away with your butt kicks, but I mean, all things considered, you guys were underbuilt and you left some damage on the other team and forced them to do some repairs. What were the takeaways from those that helped make this one make more sense and come together smoother than it could have if you were cold?
I think we're just more prepared. I mean, we went around and did some homework, looked at a lot of builds that had gone to Bash before, talked to a lot of people. I mean, it's just way more prepared. Just knew what to expect. We had seen Bash a few times already, so that helped.
How's Evans burns? I mean, obviously they're not as bad as they certainly could have been.
He's doing good. It feels like a sunburn now.
Good.
So proud of him. He did an awesome job out there. Glad to see him. I mean, he's one away from getting in the feature, but just glad to see him out there running.
Walk me through that feature. You're out there for a little while, and like you said, once you got down to the top 6, things seemed like it was a little bit more reachable. But early on, there was a lot of metal between you and first place.
I just felt lucky. I mean, when I went out there, I mean, the back of my car was pretty well waffled from the heat. Mm-hmm. And Trevor Cook and a few of them guys, Matt Gaskin and them guys helped me get it. We got it pulled back together and got some 9-layer on it, and the plan was just to keep it back towards the wall so no one could light it and keep the nose out. Just trying to be patient, and it seemed like, I know it was a long feature. I don't know how long it was, but it seemed like no time at all, and all of a sudden the guy was telling me we're down to 6, and I was just trying to just stay out of the way,
Right. The steering stay in it the whole time?
Yes. Yep.
How much of a factor that? Say that again.
It's definitely bent.
Yeah.
It's bent right at the kickers bad, but everything is still drives, still steers, so that's all you can ask for.
You gonna leave that thing right in the front yard and let everybody know how successful that car was?
Thinking about it.
Yeah. Will it run again, or is that car done?
No, I think it's junk. I don't think I can expect anything more out of it.
Yeah. So you said that it went by quick, but at the same time you had to tune down your driving style a little bit, because you tend to be, especially in the compacts, I remember you be a surgical driver, pretty precise, able to find the wheel shots and not take silly shots just to land base the car. But at the same time, you can get aggressive when you need to. But you said it went by fast. It seems like those are two different concepts.
It's in playing in the back of my head. It just feels like, wow, how is it these cars dropping so fast? And that's all I was still trying to do, is just, instead of like a compact where you're used to going backwards, I was just trying to keep the nose out and poke at wheels and make shots that counted,
Mm-hmm. But is that also concussion-related amnesia?
Could be. Definitely a little sore after that one.
I believe it. Those cars look so hard. When you took your first shot out there and it made that corner come over like it did in the heat, Were you thinking, wow, this is harder than I thought, harder than you were ready for?
Them cars are absolutely the hardest thing I've ever ran.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I think I've maybe been beat up a little more after a derby, but not in such a hard car. Them things, it's like ringing a bell when you're in them.
Really? So, I mean, when you went nose to nose with somebody in the feature, it just shook you right to the core?
Yeah, you just shake your head and back away from that one thinking that was stupid.
So, pulling out of the track, Jason Koch's Lincoln looked like it was one of the freshest cars that was pulling out there. He had a fresh guard motor in it, and he certainly was going to be a favorite to win. He defended his territory. He sort of staked out his claim, and whoever came into it got poked and sort of chased away. And he did a nice job of keeping his car as fresh as he could, as long as he could. When it came down to you up against Jason Koch, were you even aware that it was Jason that you were going nose to nose with, somebody as decorated as he is?
Yeah, I did know it was Jason. I had talked to him a little bit throughout the weekend, and I've met him a few times here and there, and so I knew who it was, and I knew how good he was. I mean, he's won some really good stuff. Definitely, I mean, going against some pretty awesome guys out there. I mean, Craver Jones just won 3 big shows in a row. He was out there,
Right. So, I mean, do you get is there an intimidation factor?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you see, I watch these guys win these big shows, and it's definitely something you want to keep in the back of your head. You know who's going to be around at the end of these things, and you just hope you're lucky enough to be there too.
How high? You wanted to be there. You're lucky enough to be there too. But at the same time, knowing how much work had to go into getting that car together so you could get back out there. You had some help early on until Matt Gaskin and you got separated. Matt ended up down at the far end of the track, and for a while there, you guys just stayed door to door and shoved whoever came near you guys back out into the middle, and settled into your corner of the globe.
That was absolutely our plan. It was try and stay next to each other, so if we got spun sideways, we could help each other get back straightened out. And yeah, when he went down, I just kind of started bouncing from different spots on the track, trying to not stay around the same people too long or make anybody mad,
Right. How high did your confidence get when you got down to that final 6 and the final 5 and the final 4? Was it a case where mentally you're so dialed in on the Derby that you don't even realize it, or does your heart start to pick up and you're thinking, holy cow, how's this going to happen? Or even more so, does your confidence get so high where you're like, yeah, I got something to prove, I'm going to win this thing?
It was more along the lines of, I mean, when it got down and that official said 6, I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, I'm in the top 6 at Bash. But then it was, wow, now we're down to 5, now we're down to 4, and now get down to 3, and it was like, wow, this might actually happen. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, got down to 2, and I know how good Jason Koch is, and I hate to see his motor blow up, but I was happy at the same time.
Right. I mean, what was your strategy? You're not going to win. You're not going to win that Derby going through the nose of somebody.
No, absolutely not. My strategy was just trying to wear him out, trying my best to get him turned sideways so I could pick at his front wheels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I saw that working out for you.
He's a heck of a good driver. You're not going to get him. You're not going to get him pushed sideways.
It seemed to me that you were trying to attack him from the middle of the car. Like by staying in front of him, you're trying to load up the transmission and get the transmission hot in hopes of getting him to lose drive or at least lose some of his mobility. Mm-hmm. And then
to get him to push me around a little bit if that's what he wanted to do,
Right. When that ball of fire come out of that right side bank, was did your heart basically just stop?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't believe it.
What were some of the first things that your team...
How good a drive chain he's got, and to see something like that happen. And I think he lost his rad pretty early, so I'm sure it was cooking hot. Mine was cooking hot.
Yeah. What were some of the messages that you were getting from your team? I know you're close with Dave King, Evan King, you're close with Matt. A lot of those guys from the Dunkirk area were there, be it from the Elman's Garage crew or from the Nasty Dogs crew or from some of the other factions that are out that way. What were some of the reactions that you got? What was one that stood out to you that you didn't expect?
Keith Osmond came out there on the track, tears in his eyes, brought me a beer. That was awesome.
Keith's a good dude.
Osmond, Craig Bedell was down there with us. I think they were more excited than I was. I was still in awe.
Craig Bedell, and I couldn't remember his name until you just mentioned it now. Craig Bedell, I was telling a story about Craig Bedell from one of the first times that we came to Dunkirk to film. He had a black Lumina or black Monte Carlo, and the front floor in the back seat had dug into the track as he pulled forward, and the whole back of the car ripped apart and basically hinged at the back floor seam in the trunk. So you had the nose of the car and then the roof of the car and the trunk lid of the car, and then stretched out behind it was the trunk lid of the car, and then the rear wheels facing the sky, and the floor pan stretched out behind it.
I don't think that was Craig Bedell. That was me.
That was you?
That was me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was talking with Kevin Seeley about that. All right, I remember getting a picture of that, and I thought it was Craig's car.
It was down to about 4 cars, and they come out around the end of the track, and I snagged a car going by it. And that Monte Carlo was so rusty that it flipped the rear end right upside down.
So you've
Tank and all.
you've come a long way since the inverted Lumina.
Absolutely.
At this point, where do you go from here? I mean, you bring home $11,000, which might put a dent in what you've got invested in the car. You've got some of your home stuff coming up. There's the team show in Sandusky that's sitting out there on the radar. Kings of Old School's coming up this weekend. Where do you guys go from here?
We're running Kings of Old School this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think I'm going to take a couple weeks off and regroup after that. It's been a lot of work getting this bad car together. But I'm sure we'll be at the county fairs, Cat County, Chautauqua County. Maybe we're looking at that Cuba show coming up in August.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That looks like fun. Nice set of rules for that. So.
Yeah. What do you look for in a set of rules? I mean, I've seen you guys mostly in.
Honestly, I think my
W-bodies.
favorite build is something like the wire class rules at Bash, where it's not a crazy build, but you can run your protectors, keep your stuff together. I really like that.
There's some feedback on those classes that there was cars quote unquote wasted in that event. What's your take on that? You know, wire class was sort of where Demolition Derby started. Do you feel that to be accurate or fair, so to say, in terms of cars being wasted in the wire classes?
I get that feeling sometimes. I mean, I watch some of these cars go out there, but I mean, it's all in what the guy wants to do. I mean, you can't fault the guy for if that's the way he wants to run a car. You still want to have your best car for it. It still takes a good car for it.
Sure.
And a lot of times you're still going for the same kind of money. So how is it? It's not really wasted.
Right. The W body argument. You guys had some time to see the compacts while you're out there. You guys have got plenty of experience in those W bodies. What'd you think of the W bodies and how they matched up against the rear wheel drives and the compacts?
I still think it can be done, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah.
Mustangs are hard.
How long before the Mustangs start creeping into Chautauqua County?
I don't know. You never see that stuff local here around us. You never see the rear wheel drive stuff.
Well, I don't think it's allowed.
Too, because they're tough, and you get away with a lot of it with the Chautauqua County rules and stuff.
Right.
You could build a pretty hard Mustang.
You could build a nasty Mustang with the rules out there for Chautauqua County, but at this point they're not allowed. And I'm just surprised that there hasn't been more of a movement to get them legalized for it, so that you could see some of the Mustangs and even some of those early '80s Camaros. They can do a pretty nice job in compact derbies. But the Camaros sort of lend themselves more to the outlaw stuff. But those Fox bodies, they're a force.
Yep, I'm still a diehard Lumina guy, but I'll admit them things are pretty awesome. So.
The schedule then, as you were saying, it's going to include Cat County, Chautauqua County, if everything aligns right. But your focus right now is on Kings of Old School in Whitney Point this weekend. That show itself, are the cars all done? Is everything set to go for that, or have you got a busy week ahead of you?
Not even close.
No,
the car's stripped, but that's about it.
But those have significantly lighter build specs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Them Luminas build themselves. It's no big deal.
How fast can you put a Lumina together now?
For King's Old School rules, a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Has this weekend set in yet? I mean, on the tow home?
No, absolutely not.
No.
I still can't believe it.
The tow home, did it seem
more
like
messages from people that I barely know or don't know, and it's just all awesome stuff.
Get a lot of friend requests?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome, man. I'm very happy for you. I know this wasn't an effort by yourself. You built a lot of the stuff that was in the car, but like you said, you had the IFD cradle and some other aftermarket parts. Who did you have assisting you on this that made this win possible?
What's that?
Who'd you have? Anybody that you wanted to recognize that made this win possible?
Oh, definitely Dave and Evan King. Them guys are awesome. There's just so many people that led up to this. I got to thank Jordan Ingram. That IFD cradle has made the biggest difference. I don't have to worry about breaking my motor anymore.
Right.
So that makes my mind a little easier. That cost me a lot of money.
Sure.
The HLK bead locks on there. Them bead locks on the back of my car were, I don't know if you've seen any of that on the internet, but they were Dave King's that he bought from Dustin Ingram that won Bash for Cash in 2015 with him.
Oh, really?
So them are $22,000 bead locks right now.
That's great. How straight are they? Are they pretty bent up now?
Yeah, they're getting pretty bent up, but
hammer them out.
I think we'll put a little work into them ones. They might be lucky.
Right? Why not? That's pretty impressive. No, I didn't realize that those were such sacred bead locks.
Yeah, they're special. I asked Matt Sheltima if he got any requests for any of them special bead locks.
Right. You're starting to sound like Days of Thunder with that special set of match tires that Harry put on Cole Trickle's car.
I know it.
Tom, man, I appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out for a little while. Congratulations on the win. It's awesome to see you pull that one off. And everybody that ran in that 80s class, there wasn't a bad car out there, and there wasn't a soft way to that victory. You certainly had to earn it.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet, man. We'll catch up with you soon. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Congrats, man. See ya.
Yeah, bye.
There goes Tom Henderson. We got a fast-paced show tonight to make sure that we can get everybody in. Let's see. We got a message coming in quick from that's a lot of Canadians to thank, Kirsty King says. Lots of Canadians. You had Jordan Ingram, Matt Sheltima teaming up to help make that run possible for Tommy Henderson. Upcoming events for Smash It Demolition Derbies. While we're on the topic of it, I'll get this out of the way so everybody can see it. Kill that and kill that. So Smash It Demolition Derby is the promoter of Bash for Cash. They've got a couple events coming up here, over 35 to make short work of it. They've got a derby already this weekend. Last year they had a couple weeks off anyway between Bash for Cash and their first derby of the year. Not the case this year. Boyd County in Gatlinburg, Kentucky is the first one, June the 3rd, that's Saturday. Smash It Class, Compact, Street Stocks, Mowers, and Power Wheels on the docket there. Then they turn around 7 days later, June the 10th, is a courthouse crash in the Fayette County Fairgrounds. That's in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. Former home of Bash for Cash. Street Stocks are paying $5,000 to win. Compacts, Combines on the docket. June the 24th, Stark County in Canton, Ohio. Smash It Leaf Class, mini cars, full size, and compact trucks, Street Stocks, Power Wheels on the menu there. And July the 1st, taking us through the 1st of July, Pike County Fair in Piketon, Ohio, 5 o'clock start time. Smash It Class, mini, Street Stocks, Smash It Mowers, and Power Wheels on order there. Let's turn to the other big Smash It Demolition Derby event. Blizzard Bash 2017, online, blizzardbash.com, November 9th through the 13th. That is the huge show at the Kansas Expo Center in Topeka, Kansas. 4 o'clock start on Thursday the 10th is National and Qualifying Team Bracket Round 1. Friday, November the 11th, 9 o'clock is the RC Derby. 6 o'clock is the National and Qualifying Team Round 2, along with the 14 to 17-year-old Youth Division. Saturday, November the 12th, 10 o'clock is the Compact Limited Weld Team Rounds 1. And then part of that doubleheader, 6 o'clock start for the Power Wheels, all the Team B mains, Trucks, Youth, and Bone Stocks. Championship Sunday is the 13th at 1 o'clock. The National Qualifying Limited Weld and Compact Team A mains. All the drivers registered for action at Blizzard Bash are going to be put into a drawing courtesy of Smash It Demolition Derbies. The full-size guys will have 5 tickets per person, not open to the public, and you can't buy extras. And all the compact guys are going to be put into a separate drawing, 5 tickets per person. You can't buy any extras. They're going to pull 1 ticket. The compact guy is going to win a Baldwin-built 3.1. And the full-size winner is going to have a ticket pulled. They're going to walk away with a Baldwin power plant. Hard to argue with that. A little bit later on, we're going to be talking about this one, the 2017 Mandan Team Show, Saturday, June the 10th. It's our first trip to that hard-hitting team show. We're going to be hosting the pay-per-view online with DerbyNation.tv. DerbyNation.tv and Derby Tees brought all the action from Bash for Cash. They're going to be live coming up this weekend from the T-Bone Memorial event. So they're going to be in action. Then we're going to take the reins and run our show with Mandan. Excited to be working with Ken Hoff and Dustin Anderson. We'll be talking with them a little while. The show's at the Dakota Speedway on Longspur Trail in Mandan. They've got a Facebook group. Just look up Mandan Team Derby. That again, Saturday, June the 10th. And we've got a couple other things that we'd like to get to. Stern Dirt Racing, Midwest Smash Fest, and Spinning Wheels Productions. We'll get to those in just a little bit. But before we do that, we got to get the one and only Robbie Vest on the hotline to talk a little bit about his run to the Roses in the compact division. This is the fun part where you get to watch me dial the phone. Brian had to work tonight. Ben had some stuff going on in terms of his house, and if I remember correctly, Josh had basically a work review today, so he wasn't able to make the trip up. As you hear the 6:30 Express running 3 minutes early tonight outside of the FingerLakes1.com studios window. Working on getting Robbie Vest on the line right now. Hey, Robbie, it's Chris. Can I put you in? Hey, let me put you in real quick.
Can you hear me here?
We got you loud and clear, Robbie, man. Congratulations on the win out there at Bash for Cash. That was an awesome run of the compacts. Didn't look like it was an easy one either.
It wasn't too bad, but it felt good. I know that.
In terms of it feeling good, you won $10,000 for that. How far does that go in terms of getting your car paid off?
Well, we made a little money.
That's awesome. It's always good to hear. Take us through the feature. The car was laboring a little bit. Got down to the last three or so. What was going through your mind?
I was just happy to see it was me and Tony still in there, and I was hoping I could get it done, but I knew if I got it done, we got it down to me and him, I really didn't care at that point, whether it was me or him. As long as it was coming home with one of us.
How much time did you have putting that car together?
Well over a month, a good solid month of just about every day being out there. I've been pretty fortunate enough. I've been off work for about the last month and had enough money to be able to stay off and get it done, and I pretty well put all my time into it. I mean, I've been out there every day.
It came down to you, and it was Tony Kelly, right? That was second place?
Yeah.
So you guys build together, you travel together. It was going to go home with one of you. How hard were you two willing to drive against each other to figure out who's coming home with that money?
Well, once it came down to me and him, I didn't really care. I knew something was getting ready to get broke. I didn't really care if it was mine or his, but wanted something broken.
What ended up putting him out? What was the winning move at that point?
I'm not really sure. I think he had several things there, I think, and I don't think I was in a whole lot better shape either. It just happened to be the last one that still fired up and had a little movement, I believe.
It looked like your car was under some pretty heavy duress. The back end had come over pretty far. The nose was starting to bend on it. Did you have any inclination that it was on its last legs from inside the cockpit, that it was as bad as it looked from the outside?
Yeah, well, it was about halfway through or a little over halfway through the feature. I counted cars like I usually do, and I done a little miscount. I aired it out a little soon, so I had to get a calm back down there, and after that, I knew that it pretty well used up. But I know his car and I know my car, and I knew drivetrain-wise they was pretty sound. So even when they was bending, I knew they was going to stay moving. You had a Fox body Mustang. He had a Mustang too. Is that correct? No, they was Toyota Celicas.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't recognize them. I remember when I worked at Black Rock Speedway, we had a couple Toyota Celicas that would go race with a 4-cylinder division, and they blended in fairly well with the Mustangs. Is there an advantage using those versus some of the other more popular rear-wheel drive compacts that we see finding so much success out there?
I mean, there's pros and cons to all of them. It's really a personal preference, I guess. I mean, everybody's got their own flavor. He kind of started them and kind of got me on them, and that was the second one I built. It turned out all right. I'm happy with it.
How big's the learning curve on figuring out the rear-wheel drive compact?
You know, them guys, Tony and Steve Rowe and them, they've been doing it a lot longer than I have. I've only been doing it probably 5-6 years now, and when I started, I didn't really know anything. Them guys was probably, they're within an hour from me, and I started watching them, and I just went to some shows and kind of watched and picked up on things, and me and a good buddy of mine, Travis Allen, decided we was going to build some cars, and anything I've ever done, I never really like to lose that, so I always wanted to make sure I built a good one, and it just kind of went from there, and so far I've had pretty good success.
What were you driving before you got into the Celicas?
Mustangs is about all I've ever built other than that.
Yeah. Those cars are tough. You guys had to get through a total of 5 HT cars that came out of the Hamilton area. David Tillery, the defending champion, he was out there. Ryan Andrews was right down there at the end. The 2 Rutherfords, Jaron and Jordan, both were scheduled to be out there. It was an unfortunate flat tire for Jordan. Ended up getting taken out. Jaron got put up on the wall. When you were looking around and you miscounted, and then it turned out there was more dogs in the fight than you had expected, did it change your driving style? Did it change your approach? Or were you out there trying to find the kill shots and trying to go after steering a little bit more aggressively to end it sooner?
No, I tried to tone her down a notch for a little while after that. Like I said, I figured as long as mine stayed running, I know the drivetrain's down, so I figured sometimes you got to let guys beat themselves, and most of the time they will. Right.
I like that logic. We've only had the chance to get to Kentucky for one event, but what I remember, it was pretty heavy build. The Bash for Cash rule book, how's that compared to what you're building for your home area shows?
You know, I've pretty well built them all. I've run the 5-foot class, the minis and Sturgis a couple of years. It came down to me in Step Row a few years. Mm-hmm. And I've built the soccer cars, Top Dogs running now at Freedom Hall. I've been there. I mean, I've pretty well built them all.
Right.
I like a little more car. I mean, I like a little more. I like something that's going to be junk at the end of the night, but there's still some strategy that goes into the build.
Is this one? Is this? Go ahead.
5-foot car is a little hard on my body too.
How do you feel after this one? That check make everything feel a little less sore?
Well, you know it did. It made everything better, but I'm not gonna lie. I got some beats banging, and Friday in the heat, it sheared the flywheel bolts off, and we stayed up all Friday night, pulled the tranny out, and got the flywheel bolts out. Saturday morning, put it all back together. Had to go to the Conti, so it was a long weekend too. So I was a little sleep deprived.
So the rule book, I'm just coming back to the rules that you have at your hometown. You've run the gamut from the lighter build up to the 5-foot class. The 5-foot class being a little bit too rough for what you want. You want to have a little bit more in terms of the rules so that the car can hold up but still be junk at the end of the night. So if I'm understanding this rule book that you've got to use at the Bash for Cash, is that kind of in your wheelhouse then? Is that where you want the build to be?
Yeah, just about. I kind of like it. I mean, it's a lot of work, but I like that in a way. You know what I'm saying? I like something that still looks good. I like a lot of strategy. I like you have to put some time into trying to get the front or back to do right. But still there at the end of the night, you know, you can have a junk car.
How about
with me is at Bash, I really hope to do good because the car is useless when I get home. So
that was my next question is, do you have any 5-foot classes that you can pull this thing down and plate it up for and use it again, or is this just going to sit out front and let the neighbors know how well you did in Ohio before it take it to the crusher?
Well, I got to get the motor cut out of it pretty soon. It was a loaner, so I got to get that back to my buddy, and I just cut her apart and probably set it behind the shop for a while. it'll go from there.
How
Way too far gone for another run. That's for sure.
Yeah. The motor was a loaner. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I borrowed the motor from a buddy of mine, PJ Lawson. He got second at Bash last year in the same type of car. He loaned it to me, and he told me to melt it down if that's what it took to get the win. And he didn't know it, but I was going to melt it down either way if that's what it took. But it's just a good thing he didn't get me permission.
Is the motor still in one piece? You didn't have to melt it down, and you got the win?
Well, it lost water, but it just runs a long time. No, I drove it in the shop yesterday, actually.
Well, I guess everybody came out ahead then. If your plans were to melt the thing down, whether you won or not, if it came back mostly in one piece and you came away with the win, I guess everybody's coming out ahead, right?
Yeah, I feel like if you didn't melt it down, and it was just like a bonus, you know?
Right. How'd it come about where you needed to borrow a motor? You didn't get yours back, or was he insisting, you got to put this in your car and this is your ticket?
No, I didn't have anything left, so I was getting one built. I had one at the machine shop, and the time frame I had wasn't really working. I just got talking to him, and he's like, "It's there if you need it," and I'm like, "Well, I need it, so I'll be there to get it."
Where did that motor come from? Did he build it? I guess it's a better question. Did he build that motor, or did he buy that from someplace?
No, you'll see on this car a pretty good sponsor there, Butler Speed Machine, man. You can't beat him. I'm telling you, he does good work.
Well, that's certainly a shining advertisement for that engine builder right there, coming away with the win at the Bash for Cash. I know that Kelly and PJ, they were a couple guys that were big in terms of getting the car there and things along those lines. Who else helped make this win possible for you?
Man, I could stay on here forever, but I mean, my wife for one for putting up with me, because a lot of times I don't know when to quit. I spend a lot more time and money on it than I need to, for sure.
Right.
And I got some buddies that if it weren't for them Friday night, there was no way. I was ready to put the car on the trailer and take it home when it sheared off the flywheel bolts. I was ready to go to the house. They just wouldn't let me.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't. Things worked out.
I owe them big time.
That's it's a great story. How many times have you run Bash for Cash before this?
I ran it last year and didn't really have no luck. Which last year I was in a pretty stressful build. I was building the same kind of car and didn't really. I had a clue what I was doing, but I didn't have. I started on it about 20 days before the Derby and got there, was pushed for time. Had a few things that probably wasn't as good as they needed to be. Car probably wasn't really up to my level, but I was kind of at the point where I was done at that, so I had to go.
Was this year then? I mean, was this year a little bit a case where you were out for lack of a better term, out for redemption, so to say, just to prove that you still can compete that you can compete at the Bash for Cash level, and last year was not an indicator of what your preferred results would be?
Yeah, I needed it for myself, sure, just because, last year I beat myself up pretty good when I got home and stuff, and
gotcha.
Not only that, I don't know, I'm the type, if I didn't think I had a shot at any show, I wouldn't be there. I felt I had a legitimate chance or I wouldn't have went.
Sure. Well, coming back from the adversity that you faced, having the flywheel shear off, having to do all those repairs Saturday into Sunday, going through the consi, having to fix the car again so that you could get it back out there for the main event, and then just the having to detune it halfway through because there's more cars left on the track than you had sort of anticipated. That it was one of those trips of destiny kind of things. You said you knew you could do it, and sure enough, you did.
Yeah, it felt good. I'll give you that. It felt good.
Well, Robbie, man, I'm glad that we were able to connect today. I was chasing you a little bit, and I'm glad we were able to get together and get you on. Congratulations on the win. Certainly well-deserved, and I hope the rest of the summer goes as well for you.
I appreciate it. I really do.
You bet, Robbie. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
There goes Robbie Vest, winner of the compact division. At the 2017 Bash for Cash, we rattled through some of the other winners. We also told you we had some other things that we needed to hit on. Spinning Wheels Production over the Memorial Day weekend had a cruise in. They've got a derby coming up on the 17th of June. Spring Fling coming up. That's at the Otsego County Fairgrounds in Morris. Limited Weld is paying $1,200 to win. Economy V8s, Economy Compacts, and trucks all on the menu. August 3rd and 5th is the Otsego County Fair in Otsego County Fairgrounds in Morris. August 4th is the Wayne County Fair in Honesdale at the Wayne County Fairgrounds. GDS Fair in Newfoundland, Pennsylvania is August 25th. San Filippo Smash at the Otsego County Fairgrounds is September the 30th. The entire Spinning Wheels production schedule is available online at www.spinningwheelsproductions.com. More upcoming events that we're going to be talking about. Stern Dirt Racing, we'll be keeping a close eye on this one. July 28th and 29th is the Wasatch Wipeout in Heber City, Utah. Huge two-day event, $84,000 purse being given out there. Can't wait to get back out for that one. We had a ton of fun at May Mania, and we're going to spend a little bit of time in Utah this year with two more shows on the schedule for us. We'll be talking about the last one in a moment. Before that, we've got the West Jordan Beatdown, which is Iron Trucks, Farm Trucks, the Passenger Derby, $30,000 purse in that one. That's in West Jordan, Utah on September the 9th. September the 16th, just a week later, is the Day of Reckoning. That's the all-new Utah State Fair venue in Salt Lake City. And then the last one that we're going to be out there to be part of, October 7th, is Halloween Havoc. It's Run What You Brung. There's the pit party. They find something for everybody, no matter who shows up. So that's going to be a fun one to keep an eye on. Stern Dirt Racing online, sterndirtracing.com. And our other big July trip is going to be the 15th of July, going to Geneva, Nebraska for the Midwest Smash Fest. Working with Chad Bumgarner on that one. Fresh Cars only, two-man teams, $125,000 in payout. It's already guaranteed, and he's got more surprises up his sleeve, but he won't tell me what they are. I'm dying to know. First place, $20,000 to win, $15,000 for second, $13,000 for third, $11,000 and $10,000 for fourth and fifth. Chad Bumgarner, 402-759-2583. That's 402-759-2583. They got a website, punch in Midwest Smash Fest. It comes right up. It's the Nebraska Figure 8 and .com page, 1122 HTML. Go to Google, punch in Midwest Smash Fest. It comes right up. Easy one to find. Let's see. So we hit on all that stuff. We've got to get Dustin Anderson next. So, again, it's riveting. It's exciting. I know everybody loves this part. It's just one of those deals. There we go. Now we're back on that. Now we're back on that. And now we're back on this. This is the part where I have to dial them up. Before we do that, two more items that we got to hit on. Coming from John King, he had a derby here locally at Fulton Speedway. Alyssa Ingram coming up with the youth win, and Paul Owen winning Saturday night in the adult compact class. Congratulations out to those guys. John King with King's Crash from Smash from Demolition Derbies, running again a Speedway Derby at Fulton Speedway Saturday night. And Ed Brewster, he sent me a note a little bit earlier, said we don't have to get on the air, but certainly want to extend some appreciation on behalf of Ed and JMW Motorsports for all the stuff that worked with the long RC Derby Championship. I anticipate some changes coming there. Ed Brewster, I know he's at home listening right now. He wants to thank his sponsors, Cow RC, Performance Dynamics, Steel Horse Harley Davidson, Boca Bearings, First Priority Home Restorations, JC Molly's and Destination Florida, Derby Inc. Magazine, Crash Course Podcast, Tim Clark for hosting JMW Derby at the Bash for Cash, JMW Derby Cars for Kids support and sponsorship. These were all the cars that were raffled off for kids. Jason Sauer doing all the airbrushing on the bodies. Jason Sauer doing a nice job picking up a top 5 in the truck division. John Cash, JC Molly's camp, Steve Siopa with Team Siopa, Jason Sauer, Most Wanted Fine Art, Tim Clark with Smash It Derby, and Casey and Chance Smith with Smith Metalworks. Painting giveaway cars was by Jason Sauer, and Donnie Dana. Others that help run the show, you can't overlook these guys. Tons of help. Chris Brothers, Nate Brothers, Christopher Warnick, Chrissy Warnick. She was there front to back with Ed, basically left hand, right hands, taking all of the information for the drivers, seating the heats, keeping track of all that stuff, and then was a driver for Team GMW, Chris Cantwell, Daniel Roberts, Sick and Twisted crew, and couldn't overlook Kathy Brewster, Patsy Stargart, and Christopher Polly specifically, Pork Chop, finding a push broom so they could get the track up and running after that horrendous storm that came through. Big gully washer turned that track into a mud pit, and they found that push broom and able to get the track put back together so that they could keep going. Also sending out some special wishes to Dan Kolop, who was hurt in an enduro accident, broken leg, several facial injuries. Hopefully Dan's doing well. Wishing him the best. One of the drivers that we used to see regularly in the compact division over at the Chautauqua County Fairgrounds. as we get Dustin Anderson on the phone to talk with him about Mandan. Been a quick hour tonight. Man, we're already at 15 minutes left in the episode. We'll catch up with Dustin here in just a minute. Hopefully. I'm wondering if Dustin forgot about the time change. Or perhaps we just got the phone number wrong. I'll have to double check that. Let's see. Get back to... Where'd Dustin go? Try this one more time. Hopefully this is the number that he put in all the rules, so if anybody had questions, they can reach him. Dustin's messaging me right now. We got to the bottom of it. I think he gave me the wrong phone number. There we go. Okay, so Dustin will be with us momentarily. You there, Dustin?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. So Dustin Anderson joining us here on the hotline. We got a little messed up on some phone numbers, but we got it straight now. Dustin, man, I'm looking forward to getting up there for that Mandan show. How's everything progressing so far?
It's really the last couple weeks. It's been really starting to pick up a lot. It's been noticeably. It was kind of slow for a while getting phone calls here and there, but the last week you can tell it's getting to be go time, and it's been a pretty steady flow of phone calls on questions. So,
what's the biggest question that you're getting?
Just really kind of just a few things since I changed in the rules from last year. We had lightened the rules up, and some guys are more used to doing some of the stuff from last year and how some of the window bars could get creative and here and there with that. And one of the creativity stuff that we kind of toned back a little bit on this year. So went more to a capital carnage style build rather than the full well Blizzard Bash build, and just some confusion or just questions on what I'd like to see there, I guess.
You're the type of driver who analyzes rules and can find every last little opportunity to get an advantage in them. Does that make you more qualified to write a set of rules and versus somebody who doesn't I don't know, as in the most complimentary use of the word, exploit the rules the way that maybe you've done in the past?
I don't know if it qualifies me any better than anybody else, but I can say one thing. It was almost it was very difficult to build the rules. It was between me and I kind of bounced stuff off some good friends, Travis Singer, Matt Stenberg, Dustin Yanni, and I'd write some rules and I'd send them to them and then be like, oh, well, you better tighten this up, or you better cover this, you better cover that. So
yeah.
I don't know. It took me a long time to do it. It made me respect the. I'd always helped. I took the show over from Jesse, and he'd been doing it in the past, and he had focused on doing the rules, and I had maybe given some input on a couple of things where now I had to go back and do that myself, and it was a really challenge. I spent a lot of hours just staring at the computer screen trying to think of what different ways a person would do something, and there's still some stuff, getting phone calls. I'm like, oh, well, that's going to have to get changed, or that's going to have to get reworded. So it's been interesting from a different perspective, I guess.
Have you marked up one of the sets of rules so that you can remember all the changes next year?
Yeah, we have a group text amongst the techs, and every question that's come in, or not every, but any question that's kind of gray area type rule, we try and have a discussion about it. And I'm saving that group message and can go back and for next year, make a few little tweaks here and there is the plan.
Awesome. The group text thing, we're hearing more and more promoters going that route, and that way it everybody's on the same page. I think it's a good move. How's the response been so far to that?
I think it's been good. I mean, the group text isn't amongst the drivers; it's just amongst us, the tech guys.
I understand that. Yep.
I still think it's been really good because a lot of times at many shows that I've ran or been at in the past, it seems like, you know, and it's no fault to a promoter or something. It's just how things happen, where a guy will call one guy because he might be a little closer friend, and that guy might let the gray area slide a little more, and it might not even be purposely giving a guy a better shake at it, just, you know, kind of subconsciously, oh yeah, that's okay.
Sure.
Well, I like the checks and balances of trying to bounce off each other and just see, you know, there's been a few things we actually disagreed upon and had to you know, talk about it a fair amount and come up with a decision. So I think it's good. We're all on the same page then, and hopefully, knock on wood, which I should know better, but it cuts down on the surprises in tech line for everybody.
How are the drivers in terms of being patient for response while you guys, as a collective, decide what an answer would be to a tech question? Are the drivers been patient, or there have been a couple of guys that have been more impatient because they know that maybe they're on the outer fringe of what's going to be allowed?
No, I haven't had any real issues there. All the drivers have been pretty good that way, and I guess amongst us we're, I don't know, probably per se around our phones a little too much, but it seems like, you know, we throw something out there in our group text, and normally within a couple of minutes I can get back to a driver on a decision. So I think there's only been once or twice where I said I'll get a hold of you tomorrow morning or something. So,
sure. But
I haven't had any real brash or big complaints, I guess, that I've heard.
Let's take this back up to one of the top levels of the rules themselves. Why change them? Why go the way that was more parallel to Capital City Carnage versus the heavier Blizzard Bash build? Just simply time?
Time, driver interest. It seems like, I think it's getting to be a pretty common thing throughout the entire nation that I mean, I, for one, I loved the rules last year. I thought they were awesome. The rules were actually a little more open than even Blizzard Bash, and the cars were just nasty hard.
Right.
I know a couple of drivers that run up here that run also Blizzard Bash, that last year's feature was worse than running Blizzard Bash, more sore afterwards. But the contrary and downside to that is it seems like it's just hard, you know, to get on that compete level. I really throw it out to, you know, you guys doing Bash for Cash last weekend and seeing all the numbers of people they're able to get there is just, it's phenomenal, but you're pulling from such a big area. There's so much money invested now that it seems like the driver pool is getting smaller, and everybody's trying to put on a show, and there's only so many shows, and even with Oski being the exact same weekend, I think, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily pull a ton of guys from Iowa, but the chances of me getting them really hurts just because that's another big show at the same time. So
sure.
Yeah. I think the rule changes were based more on that to pull a little bit more of the local guys that don't have the every piece that you need to buy to compete, I guess.
Is that a good thing? I mean, I'll try and flesh this question out a little bit more. Is that going to open it up for guys who build their own stuff more? So maybe they don't have the pocketbook to go buy the name brand stuff, but they're successful fabricators and they can build their own equipment, and maybe not so much build to the extent of what you would see someplace like Blizzard Bash or Points Beyond in terms of the build spectrum. But by detuning it, does it bring them in more successfully because they're willing to do it, or are they still hung up on the weight and the size and the girth of the build and staying away?
I definitely think there's a little of both of that.
Yeah.
I think we got a couple of new teams coming this year that this is a step up on their deal, and they're really excited to come. And they've pretty much told me they don't have a lot of confidence in doing real well, but they want to make sure whoever they end up in the heat with, they remember them. So I guess that's good for a new group of drivers in that way to move up. As in fabricating your own parts and stuff, the rules kind of cutting the firewall out, and a couple of things I put in there. You can still run like your full ski cradle, but if you don't have that and you run more of a laid-back cradle, there's some stuff in the rules where you get some attachment points off your motor to the frame and stuff, a few things to kind of to even it out, per se, to just try and yeah, let a guy that does some of his own stuff or has some of the older equipment still be on a very competitive level. I know there's, I don't know, well, Jeremy Gussmiller, I'll say him for one. He pretty much builds all of his own stuff, I'd say, and he's always around there at the end, and he's very successful with it. So it definitely can be done, and a rule set like this only makes it a little better for a guy like him.
I like that, trying to get those, taking the focus off of attracting all of the guys that are spending the money and sort of giving those guys that are building their own stuff an opportunity to get into the mix. I like that theory. I know you guys have trucks on the schedule as well. I understand Josh is going to be driving a truck up there. Is that correct?
That is the plan. I got a local builder putting a truck together for him, and I've been talking to Josh a little bit, and he's pretty excited. And I actually sent him a picture of the Punisher Award we're going to give away.
Yeah.
To all the Heat Mad Dogs, and it's a WWF style belt.
Right.
And he's pretty stoked. He's pretty sure that needs to go on the plane with him back home.
Is he even going to remember his name on the plane coming home?
Well, I think he'll be all right.
You think so?
He's going to have a heavy truck, so I think he'll be the guy that's building it. I made it pretty specific. I sent him some videos initially of years past, and Muse and Dixon and the likes of Chris Johnson, the Westerberg, putting on a heck of a show and a lot of rollovers on that track. We like to keep it pretty dry, and it's a large track, and yeah, the speed is there. His initial reaction was, I think he said, "Holy F!" I'm pretty sure it was excitement. Then like, oof, what am I getting myself into?
Yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't know what he signed up for. It's going to be nice and comfortable up in the booth at the Dakota Speedway. He's going to be down on the track. He's not going to know what to do.
It's fine. He gets himself all worked up. He'll fit right in out there. A lot of them guys that are signed up for trucks, seems like a lot of the truck guys are some of the little wilder drivers. So he'll fit right in.
The trucks still staying as heavy as they were in years past, correct?
Yeah, and really. In likes to comparison to, I guess, well, you guys are familiar with the Winter Slam trucks. I'd say they're very similar to that, just maybe a touch heavier.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely not a Minnesota heavy build by any means. Last year they got a little. In ways I gave the drivers a little bit more this year, and I took away a couple of things in the truck rules, trying to do the same theory as the cars and just kind of even it out a little bit between makes and models of trucks and build styles and quality or whatever. So. I'm hoping it works. I'm hoping the drivers can put on the show still with the rule set. I don't think it'll be a problem.
Well, if the rule book that they use at Crossroads and the rule book that they use currently at Winter Slam, I know the first year that we were at Winter Slam, those trucks were just out of this world, but then they backed it down, and it's been a phenomenal improvement. And everybody traditionally at that show, they drive pretty hard. They're accustomed to driving hard. You've got a population of drivers that typically drives hard, so it's going to be a fun one to watch. I'm really looking forward to getting up there and seeing it in person for the first time.
Well, we're definitely really excited to have you come up. It's something we've wanted to do for a while, and glad we could make it work.
It's definitely exciting. It's an exciting prospect. Looking ahead to Mandan Demolition Derby, the team show, again, coming up on the 10th of June. It's our first trip up there. Dakota Speedway, the home of it. Dustin Anderson working on the rules. Ken Hoff, he's in charge of the promotion side of things. 701-391-6211. Dustin, man, we're just about out of time. Is there anybody that you wanted to make mention of that's working on this show with you?
Yeah, well, big thanks to Ken Hoff. He's kind of brought me on as doing all the rules and stuff. He gets to deal with all the stuff behind the scenes. I've definitely learned. We sat down and met a couple weeks ago, and I've definitely learned a lot more. I've kind of spoke with Sam Williams and stuff in the past, and Candace on putting the shows on, and there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that goes on, and I'm glad I only have to deal with the drivers and the drivers and the rules side of it. And then I guess for tech guys, appreciate the help. Matt Stenberg and Dustin Yanni will be helping out. Jeremy Weebush, if you're familiar with that name, he just ran Capital Carnage. He's another guy that's helping out. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Hoping everything keeps coming together, and should be a good time.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll catch up again next week. We'll get one of the drivers on as we build up to Mandan Team Derby again, scheduled for June the 10th up there at the Dakota Speedway. Dustin, thanks for coming on for a little while, and we'll talk to you and a couple of your drivers again next Monday.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, Chris. Have a great night.
See you later, Dustin.
Thanks, bye.
There goes Dustin Anderson. That is going to do it for this one. We are just about out of time. We're going to try and wrap this one up so that we can get in for the deadline at Finger Lakes TV. Appreciate everybody watching with us. That's going to do it for this one from the FingerLakes1.com studios in the North Park building here at Academy Square on Cuga Street. That's going to wrap it up. We'll see everybody next week.
The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of Mandan's Team Show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.